Well, BMW has been late to the electric party, but they've got mouthful. They've given us two options of different shape and different size and appealing to the different you. We're talking about the i4, which is just recently launched. It's a sporty sedan in the guise of a 5 Series, 3 Series, M4, all of them, but it's electric. That's important. And then, of course, we have the iX, which has taken the guise from the X5 in different proportions. And we're going to review both of them in the same breath while you take a look at both of them. And there are a few confusing things which also I'll explain you if you stay on to the end of the review, because BMW has given us two electric cars but also confused us. Before we continue with the design, let me tell you confusion number one. There is no frunk. In fact, you can't even open it. Now what BMW has done is that they've completely sealed it off so that you can't see the underpinnings. They are hiding something very, very mischievous. Yeah, because electric car, we can easily have frunk, but this much space has completely gone for a toss. In fact, this grille also is just for design purpose, talks about the design language. An electric car, the grille doesn't make any sense. They have been smart. They've given us this to put the washer fluid, very smart, but you can't open the bonnet. That was my confusion number one. Now these are 21-inch rim and the profile of the tire is thicker. Like the X5 has a very thinner profile, as comparatively, so which means that the ride quality is spline, and for Indian conditions, more rubber is always more suited. From the side, it's very clean design. The door handles are very flushed out, very quirky, looks very electric. There's an iX badging here, and in black. You really have to look for the badging, and it looks very understated. Now we talk about the rear design. It can definitely get polarizing. I will not comment on that. But what I don't like about the rear is it's a very simple thing that they've done. They've given these lights, which are very futuristic once again, but the lights are stuck on the tailgate. The moment you open the tailgate, it goes up. Then you have to again have lights here. So they have two additional lights here because once you open the tailgate, there can be a car coming. They have to know there's a boot here. So for security, they've given the tail light, and also for other purpose. But what has done is it's taken so much of space. So your boot is reduced, which should not have been, but then that's what it is. You get a charging tray here, and the boot is not the biggest. The boot could have been bigger. So that's my confusion number two. The leg room is very nice, very comfortable seat. There's plenty of headroom. Somehow you feel that you're not sitting in an SUV, you're sitting in an SUV because the car is little sloping backwards. So that's the kind of feeling you get. Like X5, you sit very upright, you sit very on the top. But in this, you sit down, which is not essentially a bad thing. There is no transmission tunnel, which means that three people can be very comfortable. There are AC ducts here. And you have two C-type charging ducts on the headrest. So basically you can use this, even the driver can use this. And the speakers are also mounted in the headrest. So that's a very interesting thing. There's a coat hanger. The finish is very premium. There's a Harman Kardon speaker here. Overall, the central armrest is quite boring. It doesn't have too much of frills. It's just like the X5. They could have done something more electronic and techy here because I assume that a CEO would like to spend a lot of time here. Move on to the front seat now. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is the best place in the iX because this speaks of richness. This is so fine quality and speaks of the fineness because everything here is premium luxury and talks about technology and electric. Yes, right now the finish here is very premium. There's this silver which is in the shape of golden silver, and this leather, the sign means that this is sustainable leather. That's why they have put this sign here. And this floating screen, which is again that something very different because it's a very unlike BMW design, but it looks very futuristic. So you have a wooden trim here and these crystalline knobs. These crystalline knobs again are very rich, very, very premium. The slides, etc., everything. Now these door seat adjustment seats, usually you see in a Mercedes because the functions are right here. BMW used to have it here. In X5 you have it here, but this has been put here, which is okay, which is not a problem. And you get everything very top notch here. There is a tiny glove box here. There's a good storage here. Then you have storage here. There's also a wireless charging tray, which is very practical. And you have the functions here. This is a floating screen, which is again very, very premium. It's time we drive this now. The acceleration is quite nimble, 0 to 100 in 6.1 seconds, which is not great, but still it feels very fast. It has 326 horsepower, but a humongous 660 Nm of torque. Now these figures, again, it feels very torquey. It has that synthesized sound also which comes to you, but the noise insulation inside the cabin is top notch. It is very well insulated. The cabin is very well taken care of. The seats are very well hugging to you. It's not a sport seat, not a bucket seat, but this is something different. It doesn't even have a removable headrest, but it is very comfortable. It looks smart. It is a heavy car. You will never feel the weight of it though. It drives quite good. The steering is also very different. You have not seen something like that. This is a hexagonal steering. It's very good to grip. You have, in fact, you look at the instrument cluster in front of you through the steering. That's how they have planned it. Again, it's again a spacecraft thing. The iX is a single speed fixed ratio automatic transmission with twin motors, one in the front axle, one in the rear axle. So that gives it more power, that gives it more agility to move around the corners. It doesn't have a great horsepower figure, but it is a torquey car. It is a torquey car without you really feel about it. It definitely is very silent. Of course, it's an EV, it's a very silent car to move around. In fact, the noise insulation also is really very, very good. Having said that, what really bothers me is that what they could have done even more to make it an exciting proposition. They could have tucked a bigger battery. That's to start with. They could have done with design changes in a way which really grows on you, because right now, to be honest, this design definitely is polarizing. Some just like it, some just love it, and some just hate it. So there are three categories of people. This instrument cluster, a special mention for the instrument cluster because a 14.9-inch very crisp display. This is a very, very good looking display in front of you. It has all the functions. It's completely touch screen on your left hand side. On the right hand side is a 12.3-inch screen, which is not a touch screen but gives you all the essential information of an instrument cluster. The battery capacity is 76.6 kilowatt. This could have been bigger, but it gives you a real world range of about 350 kilometers, which is decent. This is also an all-wheel drive car with variable torque distribution, which gives it more agility to drive. So you know that you can take it a mile off-roading also on broken patches and it'll come out of it. So that way, this is a well-rounded, well-proportioned electric SUV, luxury electric SUV that you need to have. This is also quite an onlooker. Get used to people stopping you on traffic signals and asking you some questions, because you will not see too much of iX right now on the road, because whatever was allocated has been booked and there's a long waiting period. So whether this review is of any use to you, I don't know, but if you like it, you'll have to really wait some time before you can get your hands on it. In terms of tech, the iX is spot on. It's got 65 watts of speaker, 18 speakers, and on the rear seat you have the speakers ingrained in the headrest, so you can have a real blasting music. Why they've not given it here is that the driver can focus. I really want to get myself transported to i4 and see how it drives. Let's do that. You have seen this car in motion, but I have to tell you a few things about this car from the design perspective. For starters, it's not polarizing. This design language we're used to in 5 Series, 3 Series, 2 Series. Similar silhouette, similar design, a typical BMW, looks good. It's something that you can't say is very, very bad or unfamiliar because you're used to this design. What you're not used to is this grille. Now in an electric car, the grille has no purpose to solve, so this is just given to retain the identity. Imagine how this will look if there's nothing here. But what BMW has done, they've given you the frunk, which basically means you can have the front lid open like this, but you don't get storage space. They have sealed it. Only a BMW engineer can open this, otherwise you can be void of warranty. Now, I have no idea why they have done this because I'm not authorized to peep inside it, but it doesn't answer the question. That's why this is confusion number whatever. The design is very good. From the side profile, again, it comes on a 17-inch rim tires. This is basically the shape and size of a 5 Series, and this is in the M Sport trim. So you have the M Sport badging here right now here. And from this fenders also look very good. This is supposed to increase the aerodynamic of this car, which is why this is so sporty. There is no badging here, there's nothing here. The only thing is different is the logo. The blue color is more on the electric side of the things. Otherwise, the car, you really can't make out the distinction from the side, even from the rear. Now, one thing which is good is that the boot is huge. They have given it a very big boot to this, because this is a Grand Coupe style, so the boot is very big. The confusion is that the iX is bigger, more expensive, but the boot is smaller than this. Now, that's something that only you can answer. You have an auto tailgate function. You also have the charging brake, which you can put it right here right now, and pretty much decent boot. Let me show you the back seat now. This is not the most luxurious back seat you would like to experience. You can see for yourself the leg room, the headroom, which is kind of, because of a sloping roof line, does not have too much of breathing space. This has a sunroof, but again, it doesn't come all the way back, so you kind of feel very claustrophobic. Yes, that could be a way to say that. The feeling is luxurious, but it's in a very compact manner. You have a side compartment. You have a transmission tunnel which separates the two passengers, which also means that the third passenger is out of the car. There's no space for him to sit, because he'll be sitting really with his leg up on the ceiling, because right now you can see I'm sitting quite low. In fact, the best space is that. Now, this is a great place to sit from driver's point of view. You sit very, very nicely with a very clear view of the road, because you also see the bonnet, which doesn't lose your sight, which basically means that you always have a sense of road, because this has very, very low ground clearance. 125 mm by any standards is very low. You got to be careful. Though all the time we drove, we really didn't hit any speed breakers. But in India, unlike European countries, you have speed breakers of all shapes and sizes, so you got to be very careful about it. That's something that our government should do. But first, they have to clear the roads. They have to make proper roads. Then they can come to this. Anyways, that's a different conversation. You have a wireless charging tray. This is the same floating screen which you have in the iX. That's the only thing which is which gives it the electric feel. Otherwise, this is the regular 3 Series, 5 Series. Again, the screen is very, very nice. It looks its part. It has all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have a massage seat, but it gives you all that thing that you need. There you have a C-type charging case. You have a A-type USB charging case. You also have a wireless charger here, which you have to slide your big size phones, and yes, it works. So all in all, this steering is also very nice in the sense that these have these steel buttons, and the logo is very neatly placed. This is something which will remind you sitting inside the cabin that this is not a regular BMW. Of course, it's also very silent, but this color signifies it's electric. And now that I'm sitting inside, might as well drive to the iX. i4 is definitely more fun. Definitely look at it, the way it gallops through everything. Yes, it has a very fast acceleration, 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds. Now these figures are great. Then you have 340 horsepower and 480 Newton of torque, and these all show up because this is a very, very fast car. Only thing which is on your way to really ripping the car on any road is its low ground clearance. Because it's a 125 mm, it's absolutely low. You have to be very mindful because you might hit anything, the speed breakers. Though in Delhi when we were driving, we really didn't come across too many things, but you got to be careful. And because of its low ground clearance, it also has a lower center of gravity, which makes it so much playful, which makes it so much grounded and connected to the road. It gives it the balance and stability that you need that are two prerequisites to have fun. One confusion that I've had is that the i4 comes with an 83.9 kWh battery and the iX comes with 76.6 kWh battery. This is priced 50 lakhs cheaper than that. That looks more spacious, looks more bigger, looks more grandeur, but this has the longest range. You buy an EV for range. That's a very important criteria. And this is priced very aggressively. The price points, I think, are mouth-watering as an EV proposition with range metrics in place. This is a quintessential 3 Series, 5 Series in driving. This definitely holds on its own in the corners. It's very playful. It's silent. You can pass through anything. The acceleration is very quick. You really feel very playful while driving it. That's how it feels. Now, the only confusion that I have is that the BMW has packed an 83.9 kilowatt of battery, which gives it a long range because this is the longest range EV available in the country today with about 590 WLTP range. And the iX, which is priced 50 lakhs more, has a 76.6 kilowatt of battery. Now that is a big confusion which only BMW can answer, but if you've made your choice, then stick to it. This is definitely a very good price proposition. I think in this price you won't get anything like this, but the iX is a more wholesome looking, good looking SUV electric, which if you can get done by the looks of it, then you might just love it. So it's a confusion that only you can sort for yourself. Do drop us in the comments what you think about it. For me, I like both. This definitely is more playful and I'll go with that. It is so much more confident around that bends and turns, yet so silent. That's the true characteristic of the i4. But it's time to go and meet the iX and summarize the two electric offerings from the BMW. The i4 carries the burden of BMW legacy in electric world. Also carries the burden of 86.9 kilowatt of battery, yet remains frugal and confident around the bends and corners. Remains silent, and that's the true characteristics to summarize the i4. And it's time to meet the iX again. Now these two are BMW's answer to the sustainable world. Yes, these two are the first electric cars which they have brought to India in both the shapes and size. Now the i4 with the price point of about 65-66 lakhs is a great entry level price point because you get the longest range of battery in the Indian market with the i4. This competes with Kia EV6. Yes, it's sad to say, but this competes with Kia EV6. The XC40 Recharge, whose price is going to be announced in a few times. Now this is also a sedan. It's not fit for 4 people to tug around all the time because the seats are cramped, but from driving point of view, from purist point of view, if you want to have a really good time, then this really fits all the bill. This is a totally enthusiastic car. Of course, in terms of looks and design language, I leave that for you to decide, but in case you want a bigger car, then iX is the answer for you, which competes with the Audi e-tron, the Jaguar I-Pace, the Mercedes EQC. But the question is that this has a lower battery capacity than the Audi e-tron and the other peers, and they are priced almost the same because this is at 1.16 crores. But in terms of design language, in terms of safety, this is definitely a great car. This is looks its part. This is how an EV could be. Design is definitely polarizing. I am not going to dispute that. I like it. That's how I'll summarize it. And if you like this video, do share with your friends. Drop on the comments what you think about it. Drop as many comments as possible because comments are free, just like electricity in the literal sense.